In the dimly lit Gray District Agency office, the investigators Stanley, Tracie, and Chris gather around the office desk, their eyes fixed on a dossier detailing a gruesome case of loss of lives. A malicious beast born from nightmares savagely unalived two unsuspecting men during a treacherous hunting expedition deep within the heart of the Minnesota's North Woods. Witnesses whispered a creature with antler-like horns, his eyes burning like sulphurous flames, and its grotesque claws thirsting for more flesh, standing at an unnatural height of 7 feet tall. Stanley asked Claire,
Claire, can you narrow down what this could be using the case files?
According to the Gray District Agency's database, there's a 95% chance that it's a Wendigo. A Wendigo is a beast-like humanoid creature that possesses people when they give in to taboo practices, like greed, excess, and particularly cannibalism. While scholars believe that the Wendigo began with the first humans. Wendigos are said to be cursed to wander the land, eternally seeking to fulfill their voracious appetite for human flesh. The creature is said to have several powers, such as the Wendigo's senses of sight, smell, and hearing are greatly enhanced, comparable to those of many predatory animals. The Wendigo can see clearly in total darkness. As the Wendigo grows older, its powers over nature increase exponentially. Wendigos are incredibly strong, even by monster terms. They can tear humans limb from limb, snap necks and carry two people at once, and even drag them up a tree with ease. They are considered to be among the strongest of creatures. Also, they have the power of immortality. Wendigos can heal rapidly from any wound that is not caused by fire or a magical weapon containing silver.
An unsettling silence settles in the room as the agents exchange weary glances, knowing that they are facing a malevolent entity born from the darkest aspects of human nature. It causes the agents to become very nervous. Stanley said,
We have some silver-tip arrows. Tracie, can you conjure up a spell for the arrows so they can only weaken the Wendigo?
Tracie replied.
Yes, I could do that.
Stanley explained.
Once it's weakened, I will have a chance to contain it. Let's grab the bow and silver-tip arrows and head into the North Woods.
Tracie went to go cast her spell. Chris said,
Why the arrows and not the fire?
Stanley replied.
The arrows are more stealthy and not so hazardous.
Tracie came back and asked Chris,
Chris, are you coming? If we don't stop this Wendigo, who will?
Chris replied.
Okay, I'm in. But just so you know, I'm scared out of my mind.
Please subscribe, like, and share this video with your friends. The agents armed themselves with bows and silver-tip arrows. They set out into the frigid, snow-covered wilderness. Stanley said,
This is where it was last seen. Chris said, It's freezing out here. We forgot to bring out warm clothes.
The force seems to tighten around them. Evil hangs heavy in the air, igniting a primal fear deep within their souls. Chris screamed. They hear something large running through the snow. Tracie said,
Chris, it's just a deer.
Chris asked,
Are we sure about this? I mean, this Wendigo is like huge and wicked. And to top it off, it eats people.
The atmosphere thickens as the group continues into the forest. The moon is sitting behind dark clouds, casting eerie shadows across the dense trees. Stanley replied to Chris,
Chris, we could do this. We're members of the Gray District Agency.
Chris replied,
You're right. Let's do this.
The agents pressed on. Suddenly, Stanley crouches down, examining a set of strange footprints. Stanley said,
Look at these footprints. They're huge and oddly shaped. I'm not sure what animal left these.
Chris mentioned.
I used to track and hunt with my uncle, and I don't know what those prints come from.
Tracie said.
We must be close. Keep your head on a swivel. The Wendigo is probably watching us right now. Come on, let's go.
The agents proceeded on. Chris said.
Did y'all hear that? There's something moving over there.
Stanley whispered.
Be quiet, Chris. We don't want to scare it off. Y'all stay ready.
The forest is alive with tension. Each eerie sound causes them to get nervous. They spotted a glimpse of a massive, hairy figure moving through the trees. Tracie said,
That's the Wendigo.
The forest seems to hold its breath as the trio watches in horror. Stanley whispered,
Take a shot now.
The agents missed, and the Wendigo ran off. Chris said,
It's not as scary as I thought it was.
Stanley mentioned.
It's only because it was far away from us. You couldn't really see its flesh-thirsty fangs and ferocious eyes and large claws.
Chris looks worried. Tracie said,
Stanley, are you trying to scare Chris?
Stanley answered,
I'm just messing with him. But we are going to have to get closer to make the shot without getting eaten.
The team went further into the forest. Chris screamed. A deer ran between the trees. Stanley said,
Chris, calm down. It's just another deer. Let's keep going. There's a clearing just ahead of us.
The agents stumbled upon a clearing. The moon hung in the sky, casting an eerie glow on the landscape of jagged rocks. Stanley said,
Look, there's a cave over there. It must be living in that cave. What is that?
Tracie said,
I think you're right, Stanley. That scream came out of that cave.
In an instant, the Wendigo is standing at the mouth of the cave, but he doesn't see the GDA agents. Chris is so scared, he wets his pants. And the Wendigo went back into the cave. Stanley asked Chris.
Dang, Chris. It scared you that bad?
Chris replied.
Yeah, that's so embarrassing. And I didn't bring another pair of pants. Now I'm really gonna freeze.
Tracie said.
We're family, Chris. We're not gonna tell anyone. But you're still gonna freeze.
Stanley asked Chris.
Chris, go over there and draw it out of the cave.
Chris said.
Man, what? That's crazy. I'm not going over there.
Stanley replied.
Chris, don't worry. We will protect you.
Chris said.
What if you miss? Then what?
Stanley answered.
If we miss, we will light as many arrows as possible, and the fire will scare it away.
Chris said.
If it comes down to that, y'all better light this whole forest on fire to stop that thing from eating me. All right, I'm gonna go do it.
Chris walked near to the cave. He mumbled to himself.
Man, why I always have to be the bait? Anyways, what am I supposed to do to get this thing to come out of the cave?
Chris stood there looking at the cave. Chris said,
Hello? Hello? Man, this is so jacked up.
They came running out of the cave, straight for Chris. It was then that Tracie and Stanley, brave yet scared, raised their bows and aimed their arrows at the creature. tension hanging heavy in the air as the agents focus on the Wendigo. Tracie and Stanley fired upon it. It's a direct hit. The Wendigo fell to the ground. Chris came back. Chris said,
I'm not doing nothing like that again.
The GDA containment unit retrieved the Wendigo and transferred it to an unknown location called the Gray Area.